Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where we love geeky wisdom. My name is Brian, and if you've been here before, you know who I am. You might not know who these other wonderful people are, so let me do a quick introduction as we jump into session 0 for our new live stream. So, we'll start with Carrie over at the top, right next to me, and longtime friend of mine. Been playing D&D with him. Probably the first group I ever ran, I think, was with Carrie. Yeah, that's true. First D&D group ever run, and probably the most long time run campaigns that I've ever had were with Carrie. So, Carrie, welcome.
Hey guys.
Okay. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we've got Melanie, because Melanie is a new D&D player, so we are getting the privilege to introduce her to the game, which is awesome. And thanks for taking the plunge into D&D with us, Melanie. How's it going with you?
Good, good. Thanks for letting me. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, me too. And then directly below me, my partner in life and in crime, Crystal. Thanks for managing all the other stuff outside the stream. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to jump right in. So, again, those of you that have been following the channel probably know that we've been mentioning this in most of the videos, kind of getting ramped up to this. And also, if you follow the channel, you know that it's really designed around, talking D&D, talking about all things around D&D and other things geeky. But one of the things that we really attempt to do is to show sort of how things work. If you're a new game master or dungeon master, if you're a new player, you want to learn how to do things. There are plenty of resources out there. This is just our take on it, or my take on running a game, and these players' take on playing it. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned right out of the gate is none of us are professional gamers. None of us are actors. None of us are in that realm. We love Critical Role. We love all the other streams out there that do this for a living. It's awesome, but this is just a regular D&D game with some friends getting together and playing D&D, so we want to give it as best as we can in that sort of format. The only caveat to this is we are live streaming it, and so it is that kind of situation. So that's kind of new for me. I've been playing sort of pen and paper at a table games for the longest time, so this is new for me, and we'll probably have some technical bumps along the way. We already have, but we're working through them. And you will find that this is just the way games go. So let's just jump in. What we're going to cover today in session 0 is the basics of play, how D&D works, and we'll answer any questions that come up around that. And we're really going to dive into what we're all interested in. I'm really more concerned about what my players are interested in, because I want to make sure that the game is fun for them. We'll then go into a little bit. We won't spend too much time here because I think a lot of it will be revealed during party creation, but we'll talk about the campaign world, which is a homebrew campaign setting called Ventus that I created. So it's different from any of the other campaign settings out there in that it's mine and I put it together, but it's similar to all the campaign settings out there because it's D&D, and you'll see all the familiar D&D tropes and character races and classes and all that stuff with just my spin on things. Then we'll go into what we expect from the game, what we're hoping to get out of the game. We will have cats walking and running around on us all the time. This is the way D&D should always be played. And we'll, like I mentioned before, we'll create the party. We're just going to focus on what I like to call the character prologue. That's sort of the beginning of the story before we jump into the first session as a group and start playing. So that's really what I want to focus on today with the party creation. But it will also include rolling up some characters. And then we'll talk about scheduling the game and making sure that we move forward in a way that fits everybody's schedule. So, everybody good? We ready to jump in? All right, thumbs up. I like it. All right, so basics of play, like I mentioned before, we're going to go through very bare bones, just what I think are the essentials. Other people may disagree. I didn't cover this, I think, when we got to chat last time, but this was something that really kind of stuck with me when I was kind of prepping for session 0, and Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge, because knowledge is limited, and imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. So, that being said, don't worry about the rules. The knowledge of the rules is not as important as your imagination. You will learn the rules as you play. And here's the other thing. If you're someone, man, this is really showing my age. When I was a kid playing D&D, the guys that were the old graybeards playing D&D were called grognards. And the old grognards, that was because it was like a weird way of saying grognard or something, which is a French term, which basically meant like old dudes that played the game forever and kind of held it to themselves, and they were like the gatekeepers to it. But the old grognards would maybe disagree with some stuff about this, but that's okay. I think that D&D evolves as time goes on. There are some core things that I think are sort of essential to the game, but we have to evolve as we go. Hence, we're playing on a live stream and not at a table, which is always my preference. But hey, we can connect with people from all over the world, or all over, in this case, the state, where we can at least play in different locations and get together. So we just go forward and have fun. But I'm not worried about the rules. I'm more worried about us having a good time. And speaking of having a good time, D&D is kind of, and this is something that they say in the Player's Handbook itself, there's 3 pillars of adventure, which are exploration. That's where you go explore those dungeons that they talk about in the title of the game. And combat is where you fight those dragons, again, from the title of the game. And then there's also social encounters, which gets a bad rap because it's not in the title of the game. You got dungeons, you got dragons. They don't call it D&D and social encounters, right? But that's a huge part of the game that a lot of people enjoy. And I think that this is something that most people like in some way or another. But usually it's a combination of all 3 things that people enjoy. Maybe one more than another. There are people that really love combat and not so much exploration, but they'll put up with it so they can get to the combat, right? So it just depends on how things go. And you'll probably develop things over time. As far as the roles, you're the most important. That's why you're at the top. The players of the game are the ones that are really the heroes of the story. And so my job is to help narrate the story, but it's not a book. It's not a novel. I don't know what the end is going to be. So this is something that, like, especially not with this group, but I played with younger people too, like sometimes running games for kids, and then if we don't finish, they go, well, what's going to happen next? And I'm just excited to find out as they are, because I don't know. Like, I have an idea of what I'm going to put in front of them, but I don't know what's going to happen. And the same thing for players of all ages, right? Like, so I don't know what's going to happen in the story either. I just know what I'm going to put in front of you and how things might evolve. So my job is to kind of referee some things, and also the last thing is to play everybody else that is not you as players. That's me. So it's fun. That's my chance to kind of play around with some characters. The other roles are the dice, and they go from D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and the D stands for dice, the 4 or the A6, the 8, 10, 12, all those are the number of sides on the dice, right? So a 4-sider is that D4, a 6-sider is the D6. The one at the end is the D20, that's the one you're going to use the most. It's the decider. It's the one that you roll to figure out whether something happens or not. The other dice are usually for damage, although we will be using a couple 10-siders to roll percent later to find out some really interesting things about your characters. And that whole decider is the basic game mechanic. So if there's anything that you really need to remember, it's this mechanic, which is you roll that 20-sider, you add something to it. So you'll say, hey, I want to go do something really cool. I want to go climb this building and then try to sneak into a room and steal the stuff from the noble's pack that he had, papers or something. I want to do all that stuff. Well, you'll say what you want to do, and then we'll have rolls of the dice to kind of determine whether or not those things happen. And so I'll describe what the results are, and then we'll kind of, riff off of it as things go on. So it's pretty much the basics of the game. It gets a little bit more complex as we go, but if you can remember this, I'll remember the rest. So don't worry. So we met before, and we talked a little bit before, so this may go a little quicker for some of you, but I want to make sure that we get a chance to talk about some of your favorites. So I'm going to do this differently than we might have done the last time we got a chance to kind of do our pre-session 0, which is just getting to know each other. And I'm going to kind of go sort of round robin and get an answer from everybody. So let's do this. You guys have dice? Roll a 20.
Of course.
Let's roll initiative.
I'll roll my big.
Yeah. Okay. And we all trust whatever you roll is what you roll. So. All right, what'd you get?
18.
18? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
16.
16, Melanie?
11.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
11.
11. Okay. So we're going to go lowest to highest in reverse initiative order. Melanie, you get to go first. What are give me a few of your favorite movies, shows, books, whatever. Or genres, or
Lord of the Rings, Castlevania, anything horror, romance, sci-fi.
Awesome.
Werewolves, vampires, dragons, elves.
All right. Carrie, I think you were the next up the chain of the reverse initiative order. So what was your thoughts on this?
I'll go Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Conan the Barbarian.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, remind me after the session's over to show you my Hero Forge Subutai.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Lord of the Rings is one. Let's do maybe like Witcher on Netflix. You know, the new Witchers. Kind of good inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Steampunk stuff. Like steampunk is good. I've been into that.
Nice.
Weirdly. Like, yeah, my fantasy is like very snobby as far as like that goes, like historical fiction kind of Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones stuff, and then you just throw steampunk in there. It's like totally in left field. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that would be mine.
All right, Crystal. Since I have faked you out and you got to go last, what's the what you got?
So Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love, huge fan.
Classic.
Yes. The Expanse. Some of my other favorites are already on there.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, Castlevania, all that good stuff, Game of Thrones. And then we haven't put anything like comic book inspiration.
Ooh, yeah.
So I really like Scarlet Witch. Character wise anyways. Yep. Big fan of Marvel movies as a whole, and then the DC shows have been kind of cool. Both have been really really nice. The Mandalorian's great. Book of Boba Fett. Sci-fi fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. Loving it. I always considered, like, for me at least, I always considered Star Wars space fantasy.
Like, Star Wars as well, yeah.
Instead of science fiction. It's not to say that there's not some science fiction elements to it, but I always thought of it like Star Wars is more space fantasy, Star Trek is more science fiction, and both are cool. It's just different.
Yeah, I like both.
But the Force is magic, right? Like, it's a magic system, just like anything else. So, all right, awesome. So, favorite villains. Who are some of your favorite villains? We will go in. We'll start with you, Crystal, this time, since I faked you out last time. We won't roll again.
I don't really have a lot of favorite villains.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I have this weird thing where I refuse to play somebody that's a villain, or I can't do it.
Yeah, for as many times as I've been sitting next to you and hear you yelling at the TV at those people that are the bad guys, I know you don't really have anything nice to say about villains.
I like some anti-heroes sometimes, that fall a little bit, murky, but not full-on villain.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. Carrie, what do you think?
Yeah, I like villains that even though they're crazy, you kind of like part of you is like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, like where that guy could get that. So trying to think of some. Maybe one is Commodus from Gladiator, movie Gladiator.
Oh man, that's not right. Is
Pretty
it?
good bad guy. I think it might be close enough. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
I'm
good
gonna
bad
interrupt
guy.
really quick. I'm sorry. I just thought the Punisher, Frank Castle. I like him.
Would you consider him a villain?
He's an
Yep.
anti-hero, but he's on the edge. I mean, he kills a lot of people. So
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the guys that like don't consider themselves villains, like I'm trying to think, man.
Like the Thanos
Oh.
effect. Like
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah, kind
consider
of.
himself
Thanos is a good one. Yeah, Thanos is a good one. I would put him on there. Like
I would
Cersei
also say, if we're just because Marvel's on my mind, I would say Killmonger fits into that.
Yeah, Killmonger.
Like,
Good one.
got a point, just maybe didn't do things the right way, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like Cersei Lannister, you could put on there.
Oh yeah.
Like good, like really hate, villains you really hate, like Joffrey.
Yeah.
If he died and it still wasn't soon enough, it was like
Yeah.
I got no gratification out of his death because he was alive for way too long.
Okay. Fair. All right, Melanie, what do you think?
I'm kind of with Crystal on that. I don't like a whole lot, but like Maleficent with Angelina Jolie, like she made me like that one.
Awesome. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is probably maybe too classic. I would say when I was a kid, especially, Darth Vader was like, I was scared of Darth Vader when I was a little kid. And then, like, I don't know, have you guys heard of the Vader effect? Like, the Vader effect is like when there's a bad character and they're like really bad and they do some bad stuff and they're really powerful. But then at some point, they turn and start helping the good guys. And then you're like, yes! Because you're like, we got this guy on our side. They call that the Vader effect. It's like right when at the end where he turns and helps Luke, and spoilers for
Yeah.
however many decades that
hasn't
movie's
seen
been
it?
out, but anyway, it's a thing. I am a fan of that. So all right,
well, I would say in that it could be, what are your favorite villains you love to hate?
that could be too.
Because I don't look at it from loving the villain per se as much as like, oh, I really hate that person and that was their goal, but I really hate them. Like die hard hate them.
Note, I do.
That's
like
how
Loki.
Joffrey was for
Joffrey,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it. Yeah, like what if we're playing D&D, who would I want?
I was thinking, who do I love that's a villain? I don't love any of them.
I like all these answers because it's good, because it works for me any way you want to spin it. So, yeah. Awesome.
Loki's a good one.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Melanie. It's probably just my headphone.
Loki.
Loki, got it. That is a good one. So popular of a villain, he got his own show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
He's pretty
so
awesome.
what stories, and I mean this in like the broadest sense, like, would you like to see in the game? So you could do, I don't want to give like specific examples of like, this plot line, because then that's no fun because you know what's going to happen. But like, are you thinking more suspense, more action, more political intrigue, more like, because D&D is so wide open that we can make the games have a lot of different things in them, and there's a lot that we could do. So, I guess this really kind of falls into it, also remembering this is not a movie and it's not a book. You're the person in the story, right? So if you were one of the characters, which you're going to be in the story, where would you like to fit in? So any thoughts here on what you like?
Lots
I like
of
a variety. I'm open with anything.
adventure and adrenaline.
Nice.
Magic.
Yes, magic is a big one.
Jump scares.
Jump scares.
No,
I love it.
Crystal doesn't know.
I mean, we could no, that falls under adrenaline. We can
Love
do it.
Yeah.
You'll see my face though.
The gauntlet has been thrown down because I got to figure out how to do some jump scares now.
And we live in the same house, so you have to do it secretly.
Yeah, that's all right.
Nice.
Carrie, you got anything that's, or maybe something different from this list?
No, I mean, I got a similar non-answer, basically.
Yeah, that's okay.
Been around the block, so...
He said widely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
mystery.
I mean,
Yeah,
mystery's cool. But I mean, I like epic stories, that are really... That political intrigue you talked about, something that's really on a grand scale, something that gets up to that, maybe starts small and gets big.
Yeah.
But again, man, I like the little... the little old one-off adventures you used to buy for like third level. Those are kind of cool little stories too. So
Agreed. I kind of like everything, so it's good that this is there. I guess the main thing is kind of understanding that as long as there's stuff like this in the game, that you guys will at least be on the right page. And hopefully...
epic loot. Okay, I mean, let's talk about that. Like, we got to have some good items, like exploration,
loot.
Opening.
That
like,
says a lot about you. Just by using those words.
By a long-time World of Warcraft player,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
No.
Awesome. Okay, what do you not want to see story-wise? Like, not necessarily like from a content. We'll get into some of the hard limits and soft limits about like what you don't. But like, is there any like story that's kind of just too played out for you that you don't want to be in that? Like, it's just not fun for you anymore. And some of you that maybe haven't played in these, it's not as big of an issue, but even just, I've seen this story too much on TV, I don't want to really have anything to do with it anymore.
My only thing is from watching other D&D streams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not real big into the whole shopping sessions.
Okay, got it.
I can skip them. Otherwise... As long as there's role-playing happening and interaction, I like it. It's just the shopping stuff gets boring.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there are whole times where they'll shop at shops.
What?
So,
like items and stuff?
Yeah, I should probably preface this by saying, like, since live streams have become a thing, because I'm really, and Carrie too, I would say, are from the era of playing D&D when nobody else was really playing D&D except for a small group of people. And this has now become popular, so popular enough, like we're about to do, that people broadcast their games and stream it and then watch, which is great. And you get to see how a lot of different people play the game. And one of the things that has always been a part of D&D at some level is going to buy stuff. Like going to get equipment, trying to find a place in town to sell stuff that you found. That's always been in there. Sometimes people handle it like sort of quote unquote off camera, like where you say, okay, in between sessions I go and I sell my stuff and then I buy some other things and what do I find? And some people like to do it from a role play perspective. And what I think, and I don't want to speak for you, Crystal, but I think when you're saying shopping sessions is like the whole role play out for a whole session of going and finding and like going through that stuff is not, it's just not interesting to you.
I'm totally fine with a quick stop off at the shop to exchange goods and get money, but the whole day's worth of walking around and I would rather skip the whole session. That's it. But if it's a small portion of it, fine.
Got it. That's
like
fair.
When
Makes sense.
Wheel of Fortune, Wheel of Fortune, they used to actually buy their prizes. Remember that little rotating game would pop around?
We might be the only people that remember that, Carrie.
Showing my age there, but like,
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. Like it used to be. Do you remember that, Crystal, on Wheel of Fortune? Probably not. I don't think you were watching it when you were that young. But like on Wheel of Fortune, you'd play, and now that you just get money or you spin the wheel and they give you some prize. But it used to be on Wheel of Fortune that you got like a certain amount, but then you spent the money looking and picking out the things that you wanted from this big showcase.
No.
Yeah, it was basically
I
exactly
remember
what you're
the
saying.
showcase. Yeah, I remember the showcase at the very end of the show. But
no, it was really it ate into a lot of
maybe
the
I
show,
never
too.
put it together that you were then spending the money you made on that showcase. I thought you were just guessing the amount and got it too.
No, that was like Price or Right. This was like basically advertising R Us is like so all the advertisers could put their stuff out there and like Yeah.
But yeah, you literally have to spend your money. It would be on like this rotating wheel, and they would always pick like the dumbest things, like the antique giraffe lamp for like
Oh
$1,500.
yeah, I was thinking about Wheel of Fortune.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, The Price is Right, not Wheel of
Yeah,
Fortune. Yeah,
yeah.
and it backwards.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're right. No, I don't remember. Any of that.
Okay. Well, this is good because there's not a ton of stories that you guys don't want to see. Although there's probably things that I don't want to include. I'm not going to mention them because then you'll never know if they don't show up. So or if they do or not. So let's jump in. I know I sent you guys. You've all seen these before because normally I just send this out and attach it to the invite for session 0. But luckily, since the channel started, you were actually able to see my video on this. So I'm going to recap and go into the 3 options that I kind of put together. Hopefully one of these at least makes sense for you. If so, then we'll jump with it, and that will be the main topic of our campaign. So, option 1, we have a campaign called Relics of the Ancients. And just for the sake of you not having to read very small things, many of the modern cities of Ventus were built on the foundations of ancient realms or old fortresses. By the way, before I keep going, when I say modern cities, I don't mean like skyscrapers and electricity. I mean like this is still sort of a fantasy world of semi-medieval Victorian-esque type technology, but there were older civilizations even than that, right? So over the years, several antiquarian societies have funded expeditions and brought specialists together for archaeological exploration. However, after some interesting recent discoveries, there is a renewed need for brave explorers to aid in their search. So this is basically more of an exploration type of campaign, but also there's something that must have been found recently that's causing renewed interest, so no telling what that could be. So that's kind of the first option that we have. The second option is campaign called Patrons of Providence Manor. This is more of a location-based, although it doesn't mean that you will stay there forever necessarily. And it's on the outskirts of Fallon's Peak, which is a town in Ventus. So that's where Providence Manor is. And it's an old family estate that is now operating as a boarding house. And so different people are coming and staying there all the time. And this conversion to short-term residence has recently brought some interesting travelers into the area, and there may be more to this mansion than meets the eye. So you can think of this as a campaign where there is an old family estate that has been now converted into loosely termed a hotel, right? And people come to stay there, and you would be investigating what's going on or potentially staying there as well while figuring out all the mystery that unfolds. The third option is the Kindred, and rumors throughout the land say that there are nameless powers fighting a long cold war in the shadows. To some, this is a calling, but to others, it's a birthright. So that tells you a little bit about this being more than just rumors. Some people may be born into this. And then who's rising up to participate in this struggle? And will you join them? So these are really the 3 options that we've got. Is there any one that kind of sticks out more than the others for the 3 of you?
All the above.
All the above. All right.
I'd probably, if I was forced to choose, I'd probably choose the first one.
The first one, okay.
Yeah.
I was also thinking the first or the third.
First or the third?
Yes.
Yeah, no, the third one's good too.
Leaning first, but yes.
I think I'd have to roll.
Okay. Melanie, what are you thinking?
I want to do them all. Let's just pick one and go.
You would do them all? Yeah. All right, so we had
Let's do 'em all.
two for the first, so we'll go with the first. I will say this, as we talk about Ventus a little bit, it's a possibility that the idea of all these three campaigns, since they're set on the same world, I don't think you can have a wrong choice, really. And I think that if there's things that you liked in some of the other, suggested, favorite favorite types of stuff, like movies and books and all that kind of stuff, I think you will find them in all three. So, in some level or another, right? So I think if two of you come out of the gate saying you like option one or leaning toward that one, and Melanie, if you like all three, then are we good with Relics of the Ancient as our...
I'm good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Very good. So let's jump into what is Ventus. Ventus is a variety of things. So again, it's got ancient civilizations, so civilizations even older than those that are the foundations of what the modern nations are. There's also secret societies all over the place, or maybe one or two secret societies that are claiming to be others. So you don't really know how many there are. Are they the same? What's going on there? There has been some emerging technology. This is a little bit closer to... This is why Fable kind of sticks out. And also, to be fair, Matt Mercer's Exandria world started in with having firearms in his first campaign, and it's something that are available in limited quantities now, like in the world of Ventus. Gnomish invention. Gnomes used to be very heavily into the artificing of things and creating new things alchemically and with new inventions, and so that technology was kind of held secret by them, and then it kind of, as the world became a little bit more cosmopolitan, they were able to share some of it. So those that can afford it or know how to make them, there are some firearms that are available. There are also some very unexplained phenomena that no one can really tell you much about without diving deeper into the lore of the world and you discovering some things on your own. It's just not self-evident. There were some things that happened in the past that nobody still can explain, or at least the people that you would know commonly can't explain. There's plenty of political intrigue as well. So I know, Carrie, that was one of the things that you mentioned too, but that's going to be throughout most of these. And then we already know that there's some mysterious artifacts that are around. So there's a lot of this stuff that is interconnected. So whether or not the secret societies are aware or working with the mysterious artifacts, who knows? Like, all this stuff could be very connected as you go through. It is a sort of, from a architectural and an art and a cuisine and a fashion type of thing, it's pretty cosmopolitan, like I mentioned. So there are larger cities that have a combination of cultural elements. It used to be in the world of Ventus that there were areas that were, this is an elven city, or this was a dwarven city. Those have largely gone away. Not that there aren't still pockets of those civilization left, but it's become more cosmopolitan because the world got smaller. If you're thinking about what the clothes might look like, Victorian or steampunk-esque, or some of the stuff that you might have seen in Fable, like in that video game, or a good example, Penny Dreadful. I don't think it came up, but I know that Melanie, we talked about it, like when we were first talking about the game. That's another set of, like, if you think about the way people dress, Penny Dreadful mixed a little bit with a Peaky Blinder kind of esque type thing. Those are modern for us, but like for this world, it's still in the age of magic and dragons and all kinds of stuff, right? So even though they may look or be inspired by some of those clothes, it's sort of just my take on what some of the fashion and the look would be. Food and drink has been sort of has come together. You can kind of think of it as there are still definite elven and dwarven and orcish foods or things that are still around, but a lot of cities now might have like restaurants with menus, and some of the things on the menus might be a dwarven ale served alongside of something else that the humans are fond of in that area, or there's wineries down the street because they grow a lot of grapes or something. So it's really more of, you can almost think of things in a modern context of being able to go find what you like, except if you're in some areas that are a little bit more rural, they may be more along the lines of the culture that was there originally. So you can think of that almost like, where we're from in this area of the country, like you can go into a city and find a bunch of different things. You can go into a small town and there's still the family diner that's been serving the same stuff for years and years and years. Well, the family diner might be a dwarven diner that's just serving dwarven food if you're from that area, because it hasn't been developed as much. So there are still pockets of what you might consider traditional fantasy, closer to Tolkien, still left in that world. There are also some other emerging technologies besides the firearms. There's something called the Starlight Roadway. This is where the people of all the different nations came together, and those artificers said, you know, we need to find a way to travel safely between all of our different areas. So there's now a connected highway type of thing that spans, you can think of it like an interstate, that spans most of the continent. And some of the roadways are narrows, and some of them are much bigger. Some of them are more traveled than others. But the key to this is they found a way to imbue the road itself with a sort of artificing and magic that absorbs the rays of the sun during the day, and then at night gives a faint glow to help it be a safe road, and so that people can travel and not be stuck in the dark. And so it's become an easier way for people to travel and actually have commerce during the night, where that was pretty much, you couldn't do that at all. Like, there was no way to travel at night when there's, you're going through the woods with just a torch, right? Like, so that was very hard to do. There's a lot of minor magic that's around throughout the land. Magic is pretty common in small forms, but there's still some ancient, more powerful things that are still really, really rare. So, there's a variety of the different magic type of elements. So, like, you might say this is high magic or low magic. This is really sort of middle of the road magic. It's like there's some things that are around and everybody has access to, other things not so much. And the Athenaeum is sort of this, you can call it a university that is a study that studies all of the different things in the world and what's going on. And so this is, in a nutshell, a large part of what's going on from a cultural underpinning in Ventus. Again, the rule is you don't have to remember any of this. It's just to give you a little bit of flavor as we go. I'll explain things and describe things during the game, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a hint of what the world was like, because it is definitely different from, like, the Forgotten Realms in D&D or some of the other campaign worlds. So I just wanted to explain a little bit of what it was. So having said all that, I want to make sure that we get to creating the party, because we're really close to doing that. I want to jump into general game preferences, and we'll just do by quick votes. Does anybody prefer exploration, combat, or social encounters more than in the other, or do you kind of like a balance of everything?
I like a balance.
Same.
Yeah, I'd say a balance, slight nod to exploration.
Alrighty. Melanie, that sound good to you too, or anything different?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay. This is completely up to you. There is no right answer. I'm just curious, because I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. You do it the way you want to do it. Do you feel more comfortable speaking in character, meaning like when you speak, it's the character speaking, and you have the option of putting on a voice or not. You can speak in your own voice too. Or do you speak more in third person during the game, meaning like if I have a character named Ezra, I say, Ezra says blah blah blah, or Ezra jumps up the thing to explain what the character's doing, rather than me going, "Oi, you over there, I want you to come over here so I can talk to you," instead of being that Ezra. Or am I going to do something different? So what's your take on it? No right or wrong answer, I'm just curious.
Knowing me, I'm liable to try and do a voice or just run regular voice.
Okay, got it. So
Be
not
like,
necessarily
"After now,
doing
like-"
accents and voices, but speaking for the character. Got it.
Yeah, I will probably speak in character as well, without a voice. Not very good at them.
All right. Carrie, you good?
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with that. I think that's the hardest thing for a new role player. I think is
Yeah.
to speak a character.
And like I said, and this can change like over time. Like if you decide to do something, this is a safe spot to try to do it, right? So you can do whatever you want. I say this, and we're live streaming, right? So like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
what I was supposed to say.
yeah. But you know, I have no problem. Like this is part of it is you're gonna hear me talking voices. I am not a voice actor. I'm not Matt Mercer. I'm not all these other people that do this for a living. But you're gonna hear me do it because I like doing it and it's fun for me. So hopefully it won't take you out of the game. I'll try to do it in a way that keeps you in the game, but don't feel like you have to do anything that I'm doing as a role player. Does that make sense? Like, I just don't want you to feel uncomfortable if someone else decides, oh, I'm going to try to speak in character today with an accent, or I'm going to try to do something else. When you have to be everybody else in the game, it kind of helps to break things up with different voices and stuff like that, because if you're just being one character, then it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. But if you have to be everybody else, it's a little bit challenging. So I tend to do it, but don't feel like you have to. We already talked about this stuff. I think we're good. All right, so before we move on to creating the party, because we're about to start rolling some stuff, this is something that is really in recent years that I've discovered just from being in contact with other gamers and learning some things that I really think are valuable. And I think it's important to talk about just in session 0. And this is the difference between hard limits and soft limits. So we're adults, and depending on think of it this way. Think about if you watched Game of Thrones, some of the things that happened in Game of Thrones. Some people might watch an episode of Game of Thrones and say, I can't watch this, I'm turning it off, because it was beyond the limit that they are comfortable with. Because of something content-wise or something that was said just triggered something for them. They're like, I can't watch this. It's too close to home for me. Or it's just not something I want to have in my fun. I don't want this a part of it. On the other hand, other people might say, I thought it was awesome. It was a good way of telling the story. It really brought me in and do other things. So not everybody has to be on the same page, but I don't want to include anything that is on this list for anyone. And I want everybody to kind of be aware of it. So, is there anything that you would consider to be content that you don't want to come up at all, or lines that you'd never want to cross, or anything like that from a hard limit perspective for you personally that we just won't touch it? We won't go there.
Yes. Child molestation and rape.
Got it.
But they're the same thing, but you know. Well, I said I'm specifying molestation of a sexual nature. Maybe I should say that. Because it's not a hard limit if somebody is mistreating a child. It will just mean I might want to kill them.
Understood, yeah. That's completely reasonable. I say, let me explain a little bit about why this comes up, and not just for you, but anybody else that's watching this too. I've heard horror stories about people that because they want to get people involved in their game, they'll throw something ultra evil in because they want to convey how bad one of their NPC villains is. But by doing that, it's like, wait a minute, like you didn't have to go to that level. That's not what I want to do for my fun. Like you could have come up with something else other than this, right? So this for me is is definitely one of them. Like I don't think that I have to go to this level to show you how bad of a guy a villain is, right? I just don't need to do that. So I think it's a good example. I keep doing that. Sorry, everybody. All right. Anything else on the hard limits? Okay. Soft limits. You're okay with it, but it's got to be handled pretty carefully, and we should be careful about crossing that line, but, you know, sparingly, it's okay.
Yeah, it kind of depends how you want. So I know you, right? So I wouldn't even, when you said hard limits, I'd be like, no hard limits. But because I know you're not even gonna, you're not even
it's
doing
because we
anything
know he wouldn't
about
put that in there.
mescalation. I wouldn't even make that to say that because I would add racism to that too. You know, I wouldn't want to tolerate anything racist, but I know you wouldn't do any of that. So
Right.
I guess if I'm pretending you're a stranger, I would add that in there.
But then there's also like in certain worlds, there is racism between characters. So it's kind of a gray area where you don't want goblins and, humans to hate each other, or is it a skin tone thing?
It's a tricky, that's what I was going to say. It's a tricky thing because, you could consider the ongoing battle between elves and dwarves a form of racism. If in a world where they don't, you know what I mean? Like, it depends on how you take that. But if it's not about them being an elf or being a dwarf, and it's about something else, because it's land ownership or something, you know what I mean? Like, then it becomes a different story. But it's how you play those, right? Like, it's how you introduce a lot of those things to the group. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that could be interesting. As far as like a villain character to play off that role, like, if you're racist against elves, that adds flavor to it. So it's not really for me. I can tolerate that. It would be, I just wouldn't want it to make someone else at the table uncomfortable.
Totally. It's you know me pretty well. It's not something I would lean on anyway, but it's good.
And also, I think we all kind of, most of us know each other in real life, and we know who we are and how we interact. So, like, I would also say at the table, you wouldn't want someone in character to be using derogatory terms or, things of that nature. I personally don't believe any of us would, which is why it wasn't something that came to my mind. But, sexual innuendos that are just, as a player, to like person to person weird, like, if it works in game and there's a romance, that's different than if it's someone being sexist or just as an individual. So,
I mean, you're right though. It's kind of a blurred line, if it's hard. Anything that's like cringeworthy, even if it's in character.
Yeah.
And there's like,
I'm not gonna call anybody out, but I saw a live stream. It wasn't Critical Role. It wasn't one of the biggest ones that you might have seen, but I saw a live stream where there was some of that, and you could see everybody on the call. You could see their face going, "Ooh, this is not good," which is why. Yeah. I'll share later. I don't want to draw attention to it because So I'm going to implement the press pause rule. So if at any point during the game, even if it's not something on our list, if there's anything making you uncomfortable, you can say, "Hey, Brian, let's press pause for a second, and let's stop, so this doesn't go any farther." And let's talk about what's going on, or at least say, "Hey, I'm just not comfortable with the situation." And so that's kind of like the get out of jail free card. Like, make sure that everybody is understanding that, hey, we're crossing a line. You don't have to go into details. This might have been something that personally happened to you in your past, and whatever just happened was just a little too close to home. We don't have to know all the details. You can just say, "Hey, let's just try to veer away from that. Let's go a different direction," and then that's fine. So that kind of hopefully clears everything that might have come up.
Yes.
All right. Get your dice out. We're going to have some fun. So the first thing we need to do is roll ability scores. So you're going to need 4 6-sided dice, or you need to roll that die, 4 times if you don't have them. But those are the cubes. Regular 4-sided, there we go. Or regular 6-sided die. So we're going to be rolling our ability scores. We're going to get the numbers. You'll be able to decide where you put them later. So the main thing is, and I'll take a note of what they are here, but you can write them down too. Our method is going to be, we're going to be rolling 4, and then you're going to add up the highest 3. This is the old school way that Carrie and I played originally. It's you roll 4, you take the highest 3, add them together. You can re-roll any ones that show up, but you can only do it the first time. Like, if you get a 1 and you re-roll it and it's a 1 again, all right, well, it's a 1. That makes sense? You can't keep re-rolling 1s forever. But every time you roll, if you have a 1 come up, you can re-roll it 1 time. Then we'll write these down. If for some reason you are not happy with anything that you rolled and you choose not to take them, I have a modified version of the standard array, which means you can use these scores instead. So these are the worst that you could possibly have for your characters, which is not bad, right? So the highest you can get is 18 on your roll. The lowest you could possibly get would be a 3. So, these are pretty good.
So question here.
Yeah.
Can you mix them?
No.
Or do you have to you have to choose one or the other?
No.
We're like, if I have a really great roll on all of them but one set.
Nope.
And I have like a 3.
You take the rolls or you take the standard array. That's it.
Okay.
That's the rule of cool. All right. So here we go. So we're going to go, I have it in alphabetical order here. So we're going to start with Carrie. We're going to roll our first roll. We're going to do these one at a time. So I'm going to do Carrie, Crystal, Melanie. We'll figure out what it is. Then we'll go to the second roll. And we'll go through until we get 6 of them done. So again, you're rolling 4 6-siders, adding up the highest 3. You can re-roll ones if they come up. Just that one time, though. All right, Carrie, what you got? First roll.
6, 5, 4, and 2. So that's
Right.
15.
15. Crystal.
High rolling, apparently. I rolled 2 6s, a 4, and a 2.
Woohoo. All right. So what you got?
Is that 18?
16?
16? No, that's, I think it's 18. Yeah, it's 18. Well, yeah, dropping the 2. Yeah, it's 16.
Yeah. You can only take
Sorry.
3 of them. Yep.
I got excited. Okay.
It's okay. That's all right. All right, Melanie. Your first
I only
roll.
have 1 dice, so y'all are gonna
That's
just
okay.
have to
You just roll it 4 times, and
roll.
we'll take. So just tell us how many times or what you get each time you roll.
Okay. All right. So I got a 6,
Okay.
a 6.
Oh,
Y'all don't even.
Jinx
You know
it.
I'm a freak. Okay, that's a 2.
all right. You got one more.
5.
Ha 17. Nice.
High rolling. The next rolls are going to be horrible. Watch.
All right, Carrie. Roll number 2.
I got a 6, 5, 3, and 1. Rerolling the 1, 5. So 16 again.
Aha. Did you get 16 the first time?
No. Did I say again? What is
Okay.
that?
Yeah. I just want to make sure I didn't get it wrong.
No, I had it wrong.
Okay. Crystal, you're up.
Uh-oh. That was a bad.
Okay. It was a 5, 3, 4, and a 1. So I'm going to re-roll my 1. And it's a 1 again. So we're going to drop that one. So that's 12. Right? 5, 4, and 3.
Yep. All right, Melanie.
I can't
here we go.
math.
Okay. 4. 1.
You can
You
re-roll
said
that.
re-roll
one.
that the first time, right? Okay.
You can re-roll it. Yeah.
It's 1 again.
It was 1 again.
Crystal,
Okay.
you shouldn't have said anything. 3. And 1 more, right?
Yep.
Okay. 4.
All right. So 11. Pretty good. So anything. So a 10 or more. 9 or a 10 is average, right? So 10 is not great and it's not bad. So anything over a 10 is pretty good. The higher you get, obviously, is better, but 10 gives you a +0. So that's not good or bad, right? So just that's a heads up. So if you're rolling 10 or better, then you're going to be okay.
Okay. Cool.
All right, Carrie.
6, 5, 2, 1. I rerolled the 1. I got a 5 again. So 16.
Man.
Man.
This is going well for you. All right,
No,
Crystal,
it's-
you're up.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Not too bad. I rolled a 6, 5, 5, and a 3. So 16.
Yeah.
High rolling.
All right, Melanie. Here we
This is how
go.
D&D does you, then, man. You'll get 4 good rolls, and then your last 2 rolls will be like an 8 and a 6.
Yeah.
This has happened to me
5.
for 20 years.
I'm sorry, you said
5.
5? Okay. Good.
6.
Oh.
5.
Mm,
6.
Nice.
All right. 17
These
again.
are those crazy dice y'all gave me that are all different colors. I thought they were going to be good ones. So.
I sent you good luck.
Yeah,
right.
you did.
All right, Carrie. Roll number 4.
6, 4, 4, and 2. So 14.
All right. Man, these are turning out to be pretty good, guys.
Yeah. Don't say it, Brian. I got 2 more rolls, man.
That's true.
Yeah, don't say it right
Search
before
it
I
out.
roll. We're gonna be like all 2s or something.
Yeah.
Oh!
Did you get all 2s?
No, you
2,
didn't.
2, 1, 1.
Oh.
So can I re-roll
you
both
re-roll
ones?
those. You re-roll those 2 ones. That's correct. You just can only do that once for each
That's
one of those
brutal.
that you get.
2 and 3.
Girl, get you some different dice.
So what'd you
You
get?
got
So
plenty
what are your
of
highest
dice.
ones?
So, a 3, 2, and a 2. So, 7.
No, 3, 2, and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7. Okay.
That's yeah.
All right. All right.
3,
Okay.
4,
Yep.
1,
You can re-roll it.
3,
Okay. One more.
2.
2. All right.
I had
So
to
we
say
got 10. That's good. All right, Gary.
Damn. So I got 6, 5, 5, and a 4. So 16 again.
Jeez.
Crystal, here you go. I think you're on mute. Maybe. Are you on mute?
Yeah, I was on mute.
Okay.
It was bad. 5 and 3 ones.
What'd you get?
5 and then 3 ones.
All right. Did you re-roll the ones?
I haven't yet. I'm changing dice. These are going away. Okay, we're switching.
It's D&D.
Oh yeah, that's much better. A 5, a 6, and a 4. Ha ha. So
15.
16. 16. So I have a 5, a 5, a 6, and a 4. And I'm dropping the 4.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's 10 and
Got
10
it.
and 6,
Got it.
16. Yeah.
All right, Melanie.
5, 3, 1, 4,
All right, you get to roll one more time because that was a re-roll.
3.
3. Okay. All right. So 12. Looking good. Looking
Is it-
good.
Was that 13?
$12, right?
No, a 5 and yeah, 12. Never mind. I can't add that.
All right, Carrie. Last
All
roll.
right. Here we go. So I got a 4, 3, a 2, and a 1. Let me think about this.
Did you re-roll the 1?
Yeah, I'm about to.
Oh, okay.
Okay, 5. So that's 9, 12. 5, 4, and 3. Which is 9 plus 3 is 12, yeah.
All right. That's pretty good. All right, Crystal. Last roll.
Uh, 5, 3, 3, and a 2. So 8, 9, 10, 11.
All right.
Yeah, 11.
And last time, Melanie, here we go.
5, 2, 5. Ooh. 5. The other one was
All
a
right,
1.
15. Nice job. That's pretty good for your first time rolling up a character, too. I like those.
Those are great.
That's really good. All right, so...
Y'all gave me the dice. Thank y'all.
Yeah,
Thank y'all.
you rolled them. All right, so Crystal, are you happy with yours? Or is everybody happy with theirs?
Fine.
You're good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you want to, everybody write them. I've got these, so you don't
I've
have to
got
write them down. But if you get a chance to write them down, just
What
in
was my
case,
third one? I
if
missed
you
it.
decide to change the standard array, if you decide to change and you don't like those, you can change it to 17, 15, 13, 12, 10, 8. But it seems like everybody rolled much better than that. So
So 16,
the only thing that would be
12.
different is Carrie, you would have gotten a 17, but you would have missed all the other ones, so it's probably not worth it for you. So
Is my third column, is that a 16? I can't see it.
yeah, 16,
Okay.
12, 16, 7, 16, 11 for you.
Well, I
what
guess
was
16's
mine?
my number.
Melanie, for you, it's 17, 11, 17, 10, 12, 15.
15. Okay.
Awesome. Carrie, you got yours?
I do. Yep.
Okay. All right. We're going to jump into Character Prologue. And Character Prologue, I'm going to say this at the beginning. You have the option on all of the stuff that we're about to do to change it later to something that you want. But I find it to be really fun to roll it. So we'll roll it. I will send you a link to the document. And then you decide if you want to change any of these things, you can certainly change them. But we're going to go ahead and do the Character Prologue. So let me jump over to our campaign guide. And so this is the Ventus campaign guide. I think all of you have access to this. But if you can follow along with me for now, even if you have access, you can always go back and look at this stuff later. So the first thing that we do with Character Prologue is we're going to find out what your homeland is. And so we're going to go ahead and roll for homeland. Now, on some of these tables, it's going to be a D100 or percentile. So, Melanie, those are the two 10-siders. One of them that has 2 digits on it, and then the other one, there we go, Crystal. Yeah, so, yep. So that will be the first number in the 2 numbers, and then the second will be
One of those. Or
yep. So what you're showing me is an let's see.
Hold on. Let me
Either
try.
way, like so, if you want to
I
use
think
the
they're
green,
same.
you could use that. So if you want to do the green and the blue, that's the same. It looks like they're the same. All you need
Yeah,
to
I think
do
so.
is decide which one is going to be the first number. So if you say blue is the first number and green is the second number, and you roll a 2 and an 8, then that's 28.
Okay.
So all you have to, if you want to use the other dice that has the 2 digits on it, then that will
Yeah.
tell you what the first number is. So it's just up to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just do that then.
Yep.
Sweet.
Everybody good? All right, so let's go ahead. We will start. We'll just go around like we did before. So we'll start with Carrie. Let's go ahead and roll to see where you're from. And these regions are basically large nations. There's one of these that is not a nation, but you'll be able to read up a little bit more once we get it done. So let's roll percentile and see where you're from.
I got 19. So
All right, so you are from the Commonwealth Alliance. Interesting. I'm going to say that for all of them because they're all interesting. All right, Crystal?
89.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, you're from the Ventian Empire.
Yeah, I did what you said earlier, where you take the 2 that are the same, and my my turquoise one was going to be first. So
it's that's really old school. I don't know if Carrie and I remember doing this because they didn't for a long time. They didn't print D10s with 2 numbers on them. They didn't print the 10, 20, 30, 40 on them. That
Yeah.
for a long time you just had to say red high or blue high, like before you rolled.
I had a blue set of, and they came with the red. So
Yeah, exactly,
Is it
just like that.
Ventian
Crystal.
Empire.
Crystal.
Oh yeah.
Like it
Oh.
came with another dice that was a different color, like back in
Yeah.
the day. So that way you could do that. So yeah, so
I have
that-
some that
So I
just
thought-
came with 1 and didn't come with 2.
yeah.
There
Well,
are
then
6
what you could do is
set
your
versus
first
7
number
set.
that you do is the first number, and the roll again, and that's the second number. So it works either way. You could do it with just one of each one of these dice, but it's easier with 2. All right, so now for this, I really think that you will likely just roll. You'll choose your background, and some of you may already know. I know that Melanie, we came up with one for an idea for a character that you already had. So you're more than welcome to stick with the one that we picked. I think, Melanie, we talked about having the seer background that I created, so you can definitely just take that. But just for fun,
She
let's
didn't
roll
roll her
and see what we do.
region.
For this one, I was actually. Huh?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
going
you
to
were
say,
gonna
I
do
don't think
something
you
different.
rolled for your region yet, did you?
Oh, sorry, Melanie, you didn't roll. I'm sorry, I skipped you. Let's just roll your
It's okay.
percentile since we talked about it so much. I thought we already did it. Thanks, Crystal. See where you're from.
70.
70, also from the Ventian Empire.
Interesting.
Yes. Okay. So for this next set, it's going to be a D20. And again, I actually highly recommend that you pick this later. Make sure it's something that you want, because this is pretty important to your character. But if you like the one that you get, then go with it. So let's roll a 20 and see what we got. So let's start with Carrie.
18.
18 is a spy.
Cool.
Again, don't have to stick with that. You can go whatever you want. Crystal, what you get?
7.
7 is a guild artisan. And Melanie?
2.
2 is an archaeologist.
Well,
Nuh-uh.
It is.
Seriously?
Yep.
2
Yes.
is archaeologist.
Okay, see, that's wicked, because that's what I was going with.
That's what you were hoping for this campaign.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Nice.
Wow.
All right. Moving on. So this is where we're going to determine social status. So this is something that you're going to want... Actually, before we move forward, we actually do have to decide on this. So we have to pick the background. So even though we rolled on this... Melanie, are you pretty happy with archaeologist?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
That's what I was going for.
Carrie, are you... I already think you had a character in mind, so you're probably not sticking with spy, are you? Or did you want to?
Well, I don't know. I wanted to do Athenaeum student, I think, but spy sounds kind of cool too. I mean,
Okay. Well, I say because the rest of these are going to be dependent on whichever one you pick here, or some of the things. So it's up to you,
Okay.
whichever one you want to go with.
I'm gonna roll to see which one I pick. So
Okay.
even I'm sticking with spy. Okay. No, I'm gonna stick with. No, I'm gonna stick with spy. Let's
Okay.
do it. I'm going all in. Rolls. Going all in with rolls.
Sounds good. All right, Crystal, are you sticking with that, or did you want to go with the other one that we talked about before?
We talked about the other one before, but I don't see it on this table.
That is true. So don't worry about it if it's not on the table. You can just switch to it if you want. I may not have added it to this table.
Okay. Let me see if I can. What was the name of that one?
While she's doing that, Brian, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, can I still be a member of the Athenaeum if my background's not student? Like, could I have got in the game late? Like, I started out as a spy or something? Background need to be as
Sure.
a kind of...
Yeah, you could still have been. You could still. We can talk it through. Maybe you were a spy that worked for the Athenaeum.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like if we're talking about like Harry Potter, right? So Harry Potter's background would be kind of like a Hogwarts student, right?
Right.
Because he went through there. But like Draco could have been a spy / Athenaeum student.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, let's say yes. But we'll use the spy table for the rest of these, and then we'll say that yeah, you can definitely be a part of the Athenaeum. I don't think that's an issue.
Okay.
Crystal,
With Steward of Melora.
yep, so we're going to use, for the Steward of Melora, we're going to use the Hermit table in here. Stick with the Steward of Melora. I know we worked on that already, but like, I'm going to use the tables, because I don't have that a part of this, we're going to use the Hermit for the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
So for social status, for the spy, so Carrie, you have one ally in the guild coalition. And you have one rival in the Dalish Tribal Council. And then, Crystal, you have 3 things. You have an ally in the Athenaeum. Then, I need you to roll any dice you want and tell me if it's odd or even.
Okay. I do have my D2s.
Oh, okay. If you want to flip a D2, that's fine too. Pick a side for ally and pick a side for rival.
So ally will be heads.
Okay. So I need you to roll.
It's pretty much like it's a Kraken dice, so it's a Kraken will be even, and then there's a 1 on the other side. So
okay. So let's go with the first roll. You're going to do this twice. So we're going to decide if you got an ally or a rival twice. So
Okay.
first one.
It is a Kraken, so a 2. So that's an ally.
Even is rival. So you have a rival in the Austin Reach.
Okay.
Then you're going to flip it again.
Okay. It's a 1.
You have and this is a
Ally.
ally in the Dalish Tribal Council.
Okay. Dalish.
Then for Melanie, the archaeologist, you have 4 things.
Ooh.
You have 2 rivals. One in the Guild Coalition. You have another rival in the Austin Reach, Osten, Reach. Then you have 2 allies. One of them in the Athenaeum. And one of them in the Dalish Tribal Council. All right. Let's figure out where you are in your respective lands. So let's start with Carrie. Carrie, where are you from again? You're from the Commonwealth?
Commonwealth Alliance, yep.
Ooh. I think I missed a table. That's all right. I'll let you pick this one. Do you want to be... No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Roll a 4 cider.
Four.
You are from the Mycanthian Commonwealth. And we need to figure out what settlement you're in. Because the Dalish, or the Commonwealth is a conglomeration of these Commonwealth settlements. The Ajoran Commonwealth, the Benin Commonwealth, the Eldrith Commonwealth, and the Mycanthian Commonwealths come together to form the Commonwealth Alliance. So these are sort of independent states that form sort of a United States, so to speak. Like they come. These are states within the major nation. So you're from the Mycanthian Commonwealth, and now what I need you to do is roll a percentile to figure out like where you're actually from within that.
95.
You're from Timbercrest, which is a town. And we've got some Ventian Empire people next, right? So Crystal, you can roll your percentile. We'll see where you're from in the Ventian Empire.
Okay, I
thought you were, at least. Maybe I was wrong.
Ventian. Yep, nope, I'm good. Ventian. Let me see. Okay. 76.
76. You are from Angaraux. Angaraux. It is a village. That actually works for your character. Kind of a smaller village, yeah.
Good deal.
Melanie, your turn. Let's see where you're from in the Ventian Empire. I missed it. So the percentile, sorry, the 2...
Oh, the part, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, you're 2 different colored ones.
70?
70?
Yeah.
You are also from Angaraux. How funny is that? That's
place.
awesome.
I'm telling you, it's
what's
scary
great
with us,
is,
y'all. It's
Carrie,
really
what's funny
scary
is
with us.
we talked prior to campaign. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if they knew each other and their backstory? And they just rolled, and that's how it turned out. So, or at least from the same area. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, what was it called again?
Angaraux. So Angaraux.
All right.
It's also and that's a village for the 2 of you, just so you know, because that's going to be important in a few minutes. So the next is up to you. You don't have to roll this. You can pick whatever you'd like, and that's choosing a race. So we won't even spend a whole lot of time on here. I want you to be able to pick this on your own. It's just fun. So you can be human, you can be a dwarf, you can be elf, you can be all these different things. In the link that I send you, it'll tell you where the most common races are for your area, but I'm just going to let you pick whatever you want, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it right now. I just want to make sure that you guys know that you can pick what you need, and so depending on what your homeland is, they may be a little bit more common. So for example, in the Mycanthian Commonwealth, you've got Aasimir and Dhampir and dwarves and elves and gnomes and Goliaths, and in your town, when you go to look at your town, what was your town, by the way, or your settlement, Carrie? Just so I can...
Timbercrest.
So, and that was in Mycanthian Commonwealth. So if you, when you want to go look at this, you can go to the Mycanthian Commonwealth and actually go read up on Timbercrest, and then you can find out about your town, what it's like. You can find out about what the population, kind of like what it breaks down as. So for the most part, in Timbercrest, it's almost half of the population is humans, 35% are dwarves, 5% are Goliaths, and 10% are other, because this is sort of from the cold shore of the North Sea. It's one of the first surviving outposts beyond the mountains. So this is sort of in the tundra type area is where this is from, right? So when you read up on your area, and I'll go ahead and jump to... because both of you have the same area, you might as well do that. So let me go to Ventian Empire, and so
not Rougarou, but Angaroo.
Angaroo is this hidden
Angaroo,
hamlet
okay.
of hollowed trees, moss-covered grottos, and mushroom fields. Harbors a nature-worshipping commune of vegetable farmers, forest guardians, and druids who live in harmony with the surrounding forests.
Well, that's perfect.
And
That sounds
while
like
they
us.
hold no ill will toward anyone, they long for a simpler time when before the Ventian Empire. So even though they're a part of the Ventian Empire, they're kind of looking towards when things were an older, simpler era. So you can almost think of this as like some of the areas of our state that are a little bit more in the country where people like it to be a little bit more slow and stuff like that. It doesn't mean that they don't like the people that live in the bigger towns, but it's just, this is the way. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Melanie?
I said I can be a hermit, which is what I'm already.
Yeah. Yeah. It also has some notable personalities and things like that. So you can read up a lot more on what we've got. So I'll let you guys pick whatever you want for those. I just want to dive into some of the things that's a little bit more important that we do as a group. So let me say family size. If you were from a village or a tribe, which I think is Crystal and Melanie, go ahead and roll a D100 for me, or a percentile, whatever you want to call it. And Crystal, tell me what you get when you get that.
39.
39. You have 2 parents, and roll 2d4. 2 4-siders, and add them together.
Uh, 6.
Okay, you have 6 siblings.
Woo!
And you can decide, and we can come up with names and who they are, brothers, sisters, we can figure all that stuff out.
Wait,
Right,
so
Melanie-
hold on. 2d4 plus 2, though.
No, just
Right?
2d. You have 2 parents, and then you have
Right.
2d4 siblings. So you roll your 4-siders and add them
Gotcha.
together. You got
Gotcha.
6.
Yeah, it was
right?
6.
Okay.
Yes.
And Melanie, you're from a village, true, right? So let's go
Mhm.
ahead and do that too. We'll go ahead and roll.
The percentage?
Yep, the percentage. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
90?
90. Ooh, you have 0 parents and
Okay.
0 siblings.
Nice.
But that works with her background, too,
That
though.
could work perfectly.
Totally.
Let's see how it goes. Again, these are what we rolled. If there's anything that you want to change about any of this stuff, totally change it. It's your character. But this is just fun to kind of figure out what kind of comes together. And then Carrie, what kind of settlement were you from? A town, a village?
It's a town.
Town. Okay, so go ahead and roll the percentile.
17.
17. You have 2 parents and 1d4 siblings. So this is kind of based on the idea that depending on the size of the area, that settlement may have needed more kids, like because they're doing agriculture or they're doing whatever, right? So cities tend to have less in number, whereas some of the other ones tend to have more. It just depends on how it goes. So 17, you've got.
I rolled 4 for my siblings.
And 4 siblings. There you go. Okay, continuing with this. I need everybody to roll. Here's a fun one. I don't know if you got this one, Crystal. Everybody's going to roll a D3.
What's that one?
Okay, all right. So I don't want you
I don't
searching
have
around
that
for a
one.
3-sider. So what a D3 is, it's a 6-sider. And just a regular, like, 6-sided dice. And if you roll a 1 or a 2, that's a 1.
Oh, okay.
A 3 or a 4, that's a 2. And a 5 or a 6, that's a 3. Basically, we're taking it and dividing it by 2 so that we can get 1, 2, or 3 out of it. So everybody's going to roll that and tell me what they got. All right, Carrie, what you got?
Got a 3.
So, meaning 3 or you rolled a 3?
Rolled a 5.
Okay, got it. Just want to make sure. All right, so that means that you're going to roll 3 times on this table.
Okay.
Crystal, what'd you get?
I rolled a 3.
You rolled a 3, so you're going to roll twice on this table.
Okay.
Melanie, what'd you get?
3.
You roll a 3, or did you get a 3?
I rolled a 3.
Okay, so you're going to roll twice on this table. So let's start with Carrie. So Carrie, D100s, or percentile dice.
First one's 35.
35. We can just make sure that you note 35 on family relationships so that you don't have to write all this stuff down. But I'll tell you what it is. This is this table kind of tells you about powerful relationships within your family. So 35 says you've uncovered a secret about a family member, and it could have been a tiny embarrassment, it could have been a scandal, but they try to now unravel your deepest secret. So somebody in your family is after to get your secret, like, exposed. Roll again.
I'm trying to get it with my foot. I'll just use another one. Okay.
That dice is gone forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
96.
96. Ooh. This family member has always loved you with all their heart and would do anything for you. You gain an ally.
Clearly not the same person.
Yeah, clearly not. So we're going to give you another ally. So you could probably mark down on your allies that you've got another ally. We don't know where they're from, but you got another one.
Okay.
And then you'd have one more roll, I think.
Yep, 67.
67. This family member loves you, but you were never that close. They'll do anything to help you as long as you won't be at risk of as long as they won't be at risk of injury or death. You gain another ally.
All right.
All right, Crystal, you get to roll twice, I think.
Yeah. 42.
You and this family member have a friendly rivalry and are constantly trying to best each other in some activity, craft, or other pursuit. You occasionally test each other's skills. You gain a rival.
Okay. And then a 78.
So this family member caused you to have a horrible accident when you were a child, and they still feel incredible guilt, and they would do anything to make up for that. So you gain an ally.
Okay.
And again, we can figure out who all these people are, cousins, if they're one
I
of your
have
brothers
6 siblings.
or whatever, like, yeah, it could have been one of them, but it could have been someone else, right? So, depends on how we want to do it. So we can figure all this stuff out for everybody. All right, Melanie, this is going to be interesting since you have 0 siblings and 0 parents right now. So this may be cousins or something. Who knows?
30.
30. You have always been better than this family member at a particular activity. They grew jealous and abandoned you so that they could return and best you one day. Gain 1 rival.
Okay.
And you get another one to roll.
50.
50. Same thing as what Crystal got, so we're going to roll again.
No.
Make it interesting.
90.
So this family member left long ago for reasons you don't understand or won't talk about. And before they left, they promised you that they would return in the hour of greatest need. And you gain an ally. So again, all this stuff, maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. We can work it out. We can come up with a story around it. Work it out however we need to. So, this is kind of how this works. I'm going to go over it. I don't want to keep us too late tonight, but I want to make sure that we get a chance to at least walk through how this works so that when you get this link, you can kind of follow along and finish up what you're doing now. So you can see what we were doing, right? Like when we go to an area, we go to the step, we roll on the table. When you get to this, you already have notes on how many allies you have and how many rivals you have. For your background, you already know, like maybe that ally was in the Athenaeum or maybe that rival was in the Dalish tribes. So you know what organization they were a part of, but you don't really know much about them other than that. And so what these identities are is it kind of tells you what the relationship is like. So we're going to do one of each of yours, and then you guys can do the rest of them on your own, just so that you can kind of, we make this work and you can figure out how it works. So, Carrie, we'll start with you. So how many allies do you have? Do you have any? I think you did.
I have the 2 that I gained, plus I have 1 in the guild coalition.
And you can assign these relationships however you want. So let's, just for the sake of argument, we'll say that this is the person in the guild coalition. Okay. And so go ahead and roll percentile.
69.
So you and this person share a terrible secret, and you've sworn to never reveal it to anyone. And they will help you keep this secret, even if it's in danger of being, if it's ever in danger of being revealed.
So is he doing an ally or a rival?
No, this is an ally. This is somebody that you two, you share a secret, and they're going to help you keep that secret. Like both of you have that secret. Okay, so we rolled to see what the relationship is like. Now what we'll do is for that same ally, roll to see what kind of a person they are, like what kind of character they are. So we're going to roll their identity. So this is the same table for both allies and rivals because it doesn't really matter. It works for both. So we rolled on the relationship. Now we roll to see who their identity is. So you go ahead and roll percentile.
53.
53. And they're a knight. Nice. So you have an ally who is a knight who you share a secret with, and that will do whatever they can to help make sure that that secret doesn't get told to anybody. See how this works, everybody? Just want to make sure I'm clear so that when we do this moving forward, you guys can go through the rest of yours. So, Crystal, we'll do one of yours. Let's pick an ally.
Okay. I have 3 allies.
Okay. Well, we'll just do one for now and roll percentile.
A 0 and a 5? So is that just a 5?
Yeah, whatever one was the highest. So it's either a 5 or a 50, whichever one was supposed to be first.
No,
so.
my teal was my high,
okay,
so it was a 0.
Yep. So get this. This ally is a loyal pet.
Oh, cool.
Rather than rolling on the ally and rival identities table, roll or choose one beast from the pet table instead.
So exciting.
And the pet Let's roll for it. Roll a 12 cider. We don't get to roll those very often either, unless you're a barbarian rolling like hit dice.
7.
You have a pet eagle.
Aha!
It's Eagly.
Eagly.
But if it's Eagly, then you have to do the John Cena Peacemaker dance every time.
Oh no!
And
No
then
one wants to see
Eagly
that.
flies in.
I have an
Awesome.
eagle, guys.
All right. So let's do one of yours, Melanie.
With the percentage.
So percentage first. We'll figure out what the relationship's like.
70.
70. You and this person share. Nope. Let's roll again. That was the same as Carrie, so I don't want to
Okay.
have it be too weird.
40.
40.
Mm-hmm.
You are this person's favorite drinking buddy, and their home is always open to you and your friends. You probably remember that when I rolled it on the video. So,
Nice.
That's cool.
and then let's figure out what kind of person it was. So go ahead and roll a percentile again.
30.
I'm sorry.
30.
30. Okay. This is it's a cultist.
Oh, lovely.
So
Nice.
that could mean a lot of different things. That could mean that you were drinking buddies before they became a cultist. It could mean, so like it could mean all kinds of stuff. So this is how this works. When you go through yours on your own time, when you want to finish yours out, for any ally that you have, you roll on the ally relationships table that I'm showing. And then once you finish rolling on that, see the relationship, then if you scroll down to the next page or so, you'll see here's the identity that you can get. Okay. So you figure out what kind of person they are. The same thing for your rival relationships. So the rival relationships are on a second table. You can kind of roll and see what those rivals are like. And I'll let you guys finish that out on your own, just so that we can, in the sake of time. The one thing I also want you to do is when you get finished with that, you can finish up your fateful moments. And fateful moments, you don't have to have one of these. But, they're fun. So what you can do is you roll on this table to see what happens. Sometimes, I'm going to scroll back up here for a second. Sometimes the identity of a person will give you a fateful moment. So if you want to be true to what the dice is saying, you could say, well, I'm only going to roll on that if, I roll something that tells me to. Or you can just pick, I want to roll on a fateful moment. But, so you're going to finish out step 8 and step 9. But we're going to do step 10 just because I think it's fun. And we're going to start with the Commonwealth Alliance. And Carrie, roll an 8-sider for me.
5.
Your character's favorite food is Mist Coast Catch. And it's seafood cutlets smothered in spice and cooked in oil.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I can go for that right now.
Yeah. And Crystal and Melanie, let's see.
At the very bottom, I think, isn't it?
Where is my...
Yeah, it's at the very bottom.
There we go. So a D8 for each one of you. So this is the one that kind of looks like that 10-sider, but it's a
that
little
one
bit
went on the floor.
Angular. Yeah.
Three.
Crystal,
Does that mean 6 or 9? Like it's got the thing on the bottom.
It shouldn't have a 9 on it because it's an 8 side. So it
so
would
you
be a
get
6.
Yep.
6.
all
There
right,
you
so
go.
6.
Okay.
So, Crystal,
For
you like kana, which are tube-shaped shells of fried pastry dough filled with a sweet, creamy filling.
Heck yeah.
And Melanie, you like elf mash, which is a creamy dish made from overripe cloudberries. That totally fits like where you grew up too. the hippie commune that it is.
It's all, yeah, it's just all falling into place.
Yeah.
The hermit in the
I wish I could
woods.
eat. I wish I could eat some canna right now.
Yeah, no kidding. So this is when you finish rolling up your relationships and your fateful moments. You've kind of already done your favorite foods. The idea of the favorite foods is not just to say, "Oh, this is my favorite food." It's to kind of spark the idea of you're role playing a character that has favorites. You know what I mean? Like, it's to let you know that you're playing a character that actually thinks and loves and hates and, you know, has stuff. So you're going to have some of those things. So when you move into character creation in the next step, which I will help you through as we need to, and that is picking your class. That's whether you're going to end up being a magic dealing person or, you know, working with weapons and things like that. So I think most of you had an idea, but I want to kind of talk this through before I let you go, because this is going to be the next big thing that we're going to need to pull together. And then we'll finish building your character. If we have to meet again and do it one-on-one, we can. But I think getting the backstory to me is kind of the essential thing to spark the ideas. Because once you start getting an idea of, here's the campaign we're playing, and now we've gone through all these other things, now you can start to think, okay, now what do I want to do? So I look at this, everything we've talked about up till now, as this is kind of how I grew up. This is where I decided I was going to go through schooling or training or things like that. Now it's almost like picking your class is almost like picking their profession, their job. Like, what do they do? Where are all their skills going to be? What is my calling going to be? And so I know you might have some ideas, but I just want to quickly talk it through. You know, what are we thinking? Anything come to mind as far as like a class, if you already have one in mind, or at least thinking, I want to work with magic, I want to work with spy stuff, I want to, you know, like, what are you thinking?
I definitely want to do magic, and I've already picked out a druid.
Perfect.
Which just falls in line with the stuff that I rolled. So
great. Melanie, what are you thinking? Are you thinking more fighting, battle stuff? You thinking magic stuff? You thinking...
I'm thinking kind of like animal, herbal, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think what it would be good in that situation. I don't know. You got any ideas?
I have a ton of ideas. I think it's going to depend on... like where we want to go with it. Like, I don't know, Crystal, you've known Melanie for a while. What do you think?
yes. So
Well, I don't want
I
to do a
know
druid, because I would like to do the druid too, but I don't want to be the same kind of character is what I was
I see.
thinking. So like I kind of wanted some, like, you know, so
so
we're not the same.
this is your first campaign. I've played
Right.
plenty. I played a ton of druids. So if you would like to do druid, you could do druid, and then I'll do a cleric.
No, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
So-
you already got your character going and everything, girl.
That's
Changing all that.
So another good
I can
option,
see.
if you like, that still is in the realm of nature and animals, and does at a little bit later have some spells, but is also a fighting character, is a ranger. And so ranger might be a good option, and it kind of fits together with what's going on. And there's a lot of different types of rangers. There's rangers that are more from an archery standpoint. There's rangers that use two weapons or all kinds of different things. They're rangers that specialize in tracking and doing stuff, hunting down specific enemies, understanding the lore of different regions. There's they kind of have.
Because I was going to go with like a rogue with that one too. So what would you think?
Yeah,
would be better?
Rogue is really Rogue is a
both
great
of
choice
the-
too.
Yeah, I really like both the ideas.
So I think both of those would be great options, and there are some subclasses that go along with those that work with the whole archaeology thing. So if you're thinking more, like, I know we talked earlier, like ideas like spawning out from like almost like Lara Croft type of stuff. I think a rogue would work really well for that type of character with the whole archaeology, but so would a ranger, like it, like
Yeah.
the
Okay.
skill sets and stuff. So it really, it
Okay.
depends on how we go. So we can kind of work
I'm gonna
on
delve
the
into that a
details
little
and figure
bit.
out
Yeah.
which ones works
Yeah.
best for you.
So with like a
Okay.
ranger, you one of the subclasses, I think you get like a ranger's pet or an assisted animal that helps you. So they do have that nature leaning edge.
Yeah.
If
Okay. That
you
sounds
know.
good. I actually like that. I like the ranger.
Yep. Well, you've got
idea.
ranger fans on board. I know Carrie was a big fan of playing rangers early on too. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So that's, and it's
Any
also
tips?
yeah. Well, we'll help as we go. Yeah. Just play
Fair.
your character. So Carrie, what do you are you still thinking wizard?
I was actually thinking like a druid or a ranger.
Perfect.
What we're just
Let's just have a party of druids.
let's just
that
do druids.
sounds good.
Well, the good thing is they're super versatile.
Yeah,
So
there's all kinds of different ways you can do it.
Yeah. Hey.
But seriously, what are you thinking,
No,
Carrie?
yeah. I think wizard. I had a wizard in mind. Really, I've been around the block once or twice, so I mean, I'm excited to play
Yeah.
anything really. So.
Well, I actually think Ranger or Rogue works really good with this combination. So if you've got arcane spellcasting, you've got no, not for you, Carrie, for Melanie. So if Wizard is Carrie and we've got Druid for Crystal, and if Melanie, either one you go with, I think will fit really well. I was just kind of trying to tie it all together.
Ranger sounds good. I like the idea.
Yeah, and also because there's so many different ways that all of these classes can go, that you're gonna find something you like in like there's even rogues that can be more. There's a subclass of rogue called Scout, which almost is sort of like a ranger too in a lot of ways. Like they do a lot of similar things. But then, yeah. Anyway, we'll work through and we'll find out exactly what needs to go. I know that Melanie, you and Crystal and I are going to have sort of a separate session to make sure that we get prepped and ready to go. And Carrie, I can do a solo with you online just to kind of get prepped off offline, and then before we have our first game for the live stream to make sure that we're all on the same page. So, awesome. All right. I will make sure that I follow up to recap what we talked about and to make sure that we can do stuff. Just to give you a heads up, I'm suggesting that we try to, if the live stream works out, that we try to stick with the Wednesdays at 9. And I know I've sent out some dates ahead of time. Just let me know if those still work. I know there's sometimes that we might not be able to meet, but we'll try to stick to the schedule as best we can. I think for the campaign, let's try to stick to 10 sessions, just so we can say that we've got a goal and a timeline in place. We're adults with all kinds of schedules, so let's try to keep it manageable. And I want to try to keep this between 1.5 to 2 hours a session. So we'll go from there. Everybody's going to be starting level 1, but you'll likely level up quickly because of the nature of the shorter sessions and the 10 sessions. It might not be exactly how it's supposed to be in the book. I don't care. We'll do it however we do it to have the most fun, but also make sense for the game. Cool. So I took us over a little bit, but any questions before we close out?
no, I'm just really excited to get going.
Same.
Me too.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and we will work things through. Crystal and Melanie, looking forward to getting together offline and in person since we're in the same town, and we'll work through and get everything prepped ready for the first session. And Carrie, let me know what works best for you, and we can jump on another remote session to kind of work through some of your stuff, because I think we got some good ideas popping up in the background. So, and everybody else that's watching, thanks, and we will catch you in our first session. All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Brian.
Thanks.